Hey guys! Welcome to our presentation about federal student loan policy. I'm Estelle.
And I'm Elena, and today we're going to be doing a Q&A because you might be wondering, what is that? What's behind all of this? How might this affect me? So without further ado, let's get into our first question and answer. What do you call a politician who tells the truth?
Retired.
No shade at all. Anyways, let's address an issue that actually pertains to our topic.
Guiding question. So, how will the One Big Beautiful Bill Act being implemented potentially affect federal student loan policies? We're going to dive into the pros and cons, but before that, let's address the issue in question with this policy currently.
So, the issue is the One Big Beautiful Act, which works to relocate the money and resources for student loan programs to be transferred to other departments, which overall affects college students who rely on these student loans and grants in hopes of achieving their future dream job, etc. So, it puts limits on student loans, which increases overall the student debt, and it also affects universities that show low student performance because they will be completely cut off from federal funding. So some evidence we have provided on the issue. As you can see here, the graph on the left represents a majority of people who are dependent on federal funding for college, because people who did not borrow money from the government actually fall in the lower 20%. The graph on the right shows the caps put in place by the One Big Beautiful Bill Act. And on the very right of this graph, it demonstrates the caps being around 20,500 annually for non-professional graduate students, professional graduate students, etc. And I'm sure most of us in this class know someone or even are someone who is using the federal funding yourself for college. So this demonstrates the dramatic impact it could have on many people in college. So now for the key factors.
So, how does the government play a role? So, first we got our president right now, the Republican Party led under Trump's administration, which signed the act into law, and then Congress proceeded to pass the legislation. Then we have the agencies such as FAFSA and the U.S. Department of Education that are responsible for seeing it through. So, what the government has done so far? So, ever since the OBBA has passed, the government has had many laws and court cases to try to figure out how this will affect students in the future. So, again, the One Big Beautiful Bill Act, overhaul federal student loans, creates a new repayment assistance plan which allows students to have an easier time paying, a loan limit reform rule to help with caps and changes to plus loans and graduate loans, as well as PSLF, which is just employees who work in a certain job field of their degree, allows them to pay it back and possibly have their debt forgiven, and the phase out regulations, which is discontinuing some plans that are no longer needed or are not very beneficial.
So now we're going to go over what's the public's opinion on this. So for people like me, in my opinion, it will save about $307 billion in taxes. It provides tax cuts. It prevents overborrowing, and it promotes national security with more of our tax money going to different departments, such as Homeland Security. And for other people,
Um, Such as the side that I'm on, which is the opposed, because graduate loan caps, honestly, they can just deter students from wanting to enter certain job fields like healthcare, teaching, social work, which is not very good, as well as critics are saying that low income and first generation students often struggle to even afford schools already, so it may just aggravate it. And loan limits are there to reduce the grad and plus loans, which again makes it harder for students to even want to take money out to get a higher degree.
right. So, what should the government do next? Well, this is a pretty debatable topic. If you're in support of it, you may want to support the newly introduced repayment assistant program, which we went over a little bit earlier. But it's said to limit how much students may borrow from federal government, reverse some of the system repayments, ensure borrowers can pay their debts, and provides a new accountability framework to deny student loans for colleges with poor outcomes. This can be a good and bad thing. And if you're opposed,
like I am, then this project can just increase the national deficit potentially and also have significant cuts for social programs such as Medicare and affecting especially the low income individuals, have slower long term GDP growth, loss of healthcare coverage, and also affects the environment as it cuts through and harms the Clean Air Act as the tax cuts for fossil fuels, and have a larger wealth disparity between the higher class and the lower class, as well as expands immigration enforcement.
right. So now we get to the fun part. We hope you were able to gain some knowledge about the topic and maybe an opinion. So we have a poll here. If you want to go ahead and scan that with your phones or whatever device, it's agree or disagree. And later on, we'll put the QR code back so y'all can scan it. But
Right. And this is our works cited page. Here's some of the main work that is composed of an academic basis and government websites that we used. Thank you guys so much for listening.
we really hope you liked it.
Bye.